standards are based on the ISO 14064 series and the 14065 verification standard, as well as the GHG protocol from WRI and WBCSD, as well as the US EPA's own standards for measuring GHG inventories. So our program for measuring carbon footprints is the Carbon Footprint Registry. We currently have 214 participants, and we provide very hands-on support to organizations who have joined the program. In addition to authoring the protocols that set the standards for that program, we also provide an online tool that organizations can use to calculate and disclose their greenhouse gas emissions, as well as a live help desk that folks can call at any time to ask questions, and regular trainings and resources to support them in their journey to measuring and disclosing a carbon footprint, as well as managing it. So these are some stats on our carbon footprint registry. We've registered 1,700 carbon footprints within the program over its lifespan. And we have representation from 30 sectors, as well as over 10,000 facilities. So it has a large impact, and beyond just registering verified carbon footprints, we also work with organizations to build capacity in managing and reducing those emissions. So we have a recognition program that organizations can get certified to different levels of action on climate. Initially, they can earn recognition for just starting their journey to build capacity, and then from there they get recognition for reporting their first inventory, then verifying their first inventory, and then making a commitment to actually address and reduce their emissions, and further to achieve a reduction. In addition to that general recognition program that helps organizations to build capacity within the Carbon Footprint Registry, we also are working to build a net zero portal, which will move beyond just general commitments to reduce emissions and actually support organizations in moving towards net zero commitments and defining specific pathways and approaches that they should adopt to meet that commitment. So we've been working over the course of the last year or so to develop a framework for that net zero portal with 60 organizations across the globe. And we will be launching that net zero portal by summer of next year, so June of 2022. So that portal will also act as another disclosure opportunity for organizations who have set net zero GHG targets and who are working to then achieve that target. So we have completed the framework for the net zero portal. It is available on our website as well and provides definitions for the data criteria that will be presented in the net zero portal, which includes the carbon footprints as well as the targets themselves. And we are now moving on to building the tool. And that is, I think, a good place to stop in summary of the Carbon Footprint Registry and the Climate Registry. So I will pass it to you.
Thank you, Chelsea. It's very interesting. Also to note the strong experience of the Climate Registry. You started in 2007, if not wrong. And you will see in the panel completely different level of experience and also focus in terms of registry. But you will recognize some common aspects that are the part that are underlined also in our memorandum of understanding. The use of ISO standard, for example. We are working in different parts of the world, from New Zealand to US and Costa Rica and Europe, but we always use the same set of standards. This is very important. So from a strong experience from the Climate Registry to a new program established in 2018, this is the Carbon Footprint Italy. And so the idea that pushed us to create this program was to give more credibility on the communication, because we had a very important verification accreditation system for carbon footprint of product in Italy. I think is the first one, or one of the first ones at the international level. But the crucial point is that after the company quantified the carbon footprint, there are some risk of greenwashing in the communication. The self-declared communication always have the risk of greenwashing. So for this reason, we established this program. And we are working in 3 different kind of label. One is for carbon footprint quantification, carbon reduction, and carbon neutrality. So you see we use different language, but it's going the same direction. But we work on products and organization at the same time. So again, there are some differences, but the common aspect is that we are always working using ISO standard. And another important aspect in our view of our program is to use the blockchain technology. So all the information that are in our registry are in connection with blockchain. And this is important for us because it's the way to give the full transparency on our information, and also to the possibility to have unchangeable information that is fundamental when you have a reduction path, because the baseline need to stay fixed all the time, and to have the possibility to control, to monitor the evolution of the emission, having solid information is something that is very important from our perspective. And another aspect that I like to underline is that in connection with each label, the different label that I showed you before, in connection with quantification, carbon reduction, carbon neutrality for product and organization, each label has a QR code. A QR code is an important way for us to connect the immediate information of the label with the background information. This is another important aspect. This is an example of a product that is in our registry. So you may see the information on the left side of the company, contact person, the description of the product, and then in the middle you have all the technical information that is under verification and verified, accredited verification, sorry. So, and also here some other technical detail. And all this information is available to the market, to the consumer. This is for the product, and we have a similar approach for the organization. Obviously, change the standard is ISO 14064 Part 1 mentioned by Chelsea before, but the approach is is the same. So description of the company, the contact person, the certificate, and the technical information supporting this kind of information. So it's only a few words, but only to give you the sense of our experience. And from a very young program, now we move to probably the oldest program of our group, because it's Toitu. EnviroCare it was established in 2006. And Becky Lloyd is the CEO of this program, and really happy to give the floor to Becky from New Zealand.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Greetings to all of you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to zoom in from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I wish I was there in person, but it wasn't to be this time. So I'll just explain a little bit about who we are. I'd just start by saying we're delighted to be signing up to this Memorandum of Understanding. It's I've already got loads of great ideas just from hearing the last two speakers about how we can collaborate and create some real value together. So we are Toitu EnviroCare. Could I have the next slide, please? Our name comes from a Maori proverb, or whakatoki, which means, oh, excuse me, there we go.
Maybe it's coming.
Yeah, no, I can see it now. Yeah. Toitu te whenua, which means hold fast to the land. Toitu te mana, hold fast to our worth. Toitu te mauri, hold fast to all life. Next slide, please. Which means that we take our name from that whakatoki, that proverb, and it means that at the heart of what we do is Toitu, to actively sustain. Next slide, please. So we have been running carbon programs for quite a long time, as Daniele said. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Manaki Whenua Land Care Research, which is a New Zealand government Crown Research Institute responsible for the science of the land. And we were created around about 20 years ago. The first thoughts around our program came to life, led by my predecessor actually in this role, Dr. Anne Smith. We are very much grounded in science. Our ownership stems from science, and everything that we do is grounded in the science. We have a very solid track we've been doing this for a long time, as you have heard, and we work very hard to keep up with international best practice. We're very rigorous. We've been working in line with the ISO standards and other international standards for all the time that we've been in business. And we are also very focused on impact. And I'll talk a little bit more about our impact shortly. And I mentioned our international alignment. You know, we work to the ISO standard set. We're members of ICROA, IETA. We're aligned to the Carbon Disclosure Project, Science Based Targets Initiative, and many other international bodies as they're all springing up. We do run as a business. We're a certified B Corp. So I like to think of it as we're a business that aims to do good, and we really prioritize impact over profit. Our next slide, please. As I've mentioned, we operate to the International Standards Suite, ISO. So for operational, organizational, greenhouse gas measurement and reporting, ISO 14064, 65, 17065 for verification and validation. We've been transitioning from PAS to ISO for product carbon footprinting, and obviously the greenhouse gas protocol for corporate accounting and reporting. And we are members of all these organizations. I should also mention JASAN's the Joint Accreditation System of Australia and New Zealand, who accredit us to operate our programs. So they basically make sure we're doing things properly. Next slide, please. So the next slide just gives you, puts some human element into what we do. So here are some of our longer standing experts. We're now about 50 people, but we've grown quite fast over the last few years, but we have got some really long-term people in our organization. I'd call out particularly Stu McKenzie up there, who's an absolute expert in greenhouse gas measurement and the voluntary carbon market. So across our team, we've got over 120 years of experience and expertise, particularly in technical audit certification, and we're continuously building our capability and our skills. Next slide, please. So this is a summary of our impact. So we have roughly, as of today, 417 carbon program clients on our books. Of those, 138 are carbon zero certified. We've primarily done organizational footprinting over the last many years, but product footprinting is really becoming much more popular. So we currently have 17 carbon zero certified products and services, but we've got a lot more in our pipeline. Over our lifetime of operation, we've verified more than 200 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, and we've enabled our clients to offset more than 1.1 million tons. So we like to think we're really having an impact on decarbonising the planet. Next slide, please. These are some of our clients. So we really operate across the whole spectrum of New Zealand business and other public sector organisations. So we operate probably equally in public and private sector. Some examples up here. Ministry for the Environment is one of our clients, as is our New Zealand Climate Change Commission. We work with Fonterra, the largest dairy producer in New Zealand, to help them with the carbon footprinting of their dairy and their ingredients products. We work with the Warehouse Group, which is New Zealand's largest retailer, and has a very ambitious strategy to become the most sustainable retailer in New Zealand and probably in the world. And as you can see, we work with a whole range of other organisations, both large and small, across the country. We also have, through our licensed partner in the UK, Achilles, we have a number of over 60 clients in the UK market as well. And next slide, please. These are our programs, our carbon programs. So we operate a carbon reduced program, so quite similar to the other programs you've heard about. A carbon reduced program, if an organization or product is carbon reduced certified, that confirms that the organization has measured, managed and reduced its footprint. If it's carbon zero, it has done that and then offset its footprint with high quality, high integrity carbon credits with additional co-benefits. And we've just recently launched a new certification called Climate Positive, which is aiming at recognizing those organizations that are really taking a stronger climate leadership position. And on top of being carbon zero, they also need to set a target that's aligned with science, take responsibility for their supply chain emissions, and go over and above in terms of contributing positively to wider society. So final slide, please. I will wrap it up there. I'll hand over shortly. I would just like to reiterate, we're absolutely delighted to be part of this Memorandum of Understanding signature. I think there's a huge opportunity for us to work together and really raise the bar and raise the profile of high quality, high integrity carbon footprinting internationally. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou.
Thank you, Becky, for your presentation that show all the activity that you already perform as a program, but also to your final commitment in the direction of the intention to work together and to improve the system, not only to have a more advantage for our companies. So from the oldest program, something that is in the middle, because in Costa Rica, the Programa País de Carbon Neutralidad has been established in 2012, if not wrong. And Laura Mora is the program coordinator. So Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniele, and thanks for the invitation to be part of this initiative. And then, yes, I'm going to talk about the carbon neutrality program of Costa Rica. But first, I want to contextualize you about my country, because we are a very little country in Central America with around 5 million inhabitants of population. And as we are talking later with you, well, Costa Rica have more than 52% of forest cover and 6.5% of the world's biodiversity. And we have 90% of renewable electricity all years in our matrix. And we don't have a lot of emissions. We are a very little country with 10.8 million tons of equivalent CO2 of inventory. And well, we have a net zero goal by 2050. Then our carbon neutrality program is a tool that we designed to try to fulfill or achieve this goal, but including private sector and involving non-state actors in climate action. Then the objective of the program is provide a mechanism for the adequate management of GHG emissions for public and private organizations, communities, products, and events to support the attainment of this country achievements in climate action. Then, as Daniele mentioned, we started with the program in 2012, and the program evolves in, I think, a robust program that right now includes not only organizations, communities, products, events, and educational centers, and we have a lot of possibilities to participate in the initiative. And right now we are working on decarbonization pathways for private sector. Then we go beyond that only have a carbon neutrality statement or declaration. We right now want to have companies with long-term goals related with the decarbonization goal of Costa Rica. And then we are working on regional and international alliances to share experiences, to standardize process, and to find a way to add more value to those organizations that are working in this kind of initiatives. And well, right now we have these categories that I show you: organizations, communities, products, events, and educational institutions. And we have this recognition system that try to recognize each activity or each effort that the organization or the subject do to fulfill or to comply the carbon neutrality statement, and go beyond of this declaration. And we use third-party verification processes. The thing that I didn't mention is that we also use all the ISO-related standards, ISO 14064 Part 1 and 67 and 65, and all the structure. And even we have our own carbon neutrality standard, our INTE V5, and we're working because this standard will be used by Panama, for example, for its new program, and we will collaborate with Ecuador and Guatemala to also support the possible use of the INTE V5. And jointly with the UK, Costa Rica is project leader of the ISO Working Group 15 to elaborate ISO 14064. That is the new ISO standard for carbon neutrality. Then we are working a lot with this kind of processes, and we have developed a lot of resources, like guidelines, participation guides. We are working on a lot of product category rules for products, and our category for products too. And we have a lot of portfolios with mitigation actions. And right now we are developing life cycle analysis tool to permit all the participants of the project, of the program, do life cycle analysis in a free way. Then we are working in this interesting tool too. And well, I want to show you some results of our carbon neutrality program. We right now have around 176 organizations, active organizations in the program, around 1,000 facilities participating, and 19 active communities that are in process, but it implies 38% of the national territory and 40% of the country's population. Then I think it's very interesting. And right now with the program, we achieved to reduce, compensate, and remove around 1,250,000 tons of equivalent CO2 with the actions that they do in the program. Around 52 million of estimated social benefits of the emissions that we reduce or remove or compensate, and $30 million invested in reduction actions in the program, and more than 10,000 people trained directly with this initiative. Then we think with this alliance and with this partnership that we are starting to work today, we can improve these results, we can share experiences, and we can increase the capacity of this kind of initiatives to involve non-state actors, private sectors, and mobilize resources to climate action. And that's why we are here today.
Thank you, Lara. It's very interesting. It's impressive also the number that show the activity you already performed so far. And also was interesting to see that we use different name again, but the process is always the same. Quantify, reduce, and neutrality or net zero, depends on which kind of terminology we use. So it's very interesting. And we are very proud to have Costa Rica on board, because Costa Rica is a country that from long time start to work in direction of carbon reduction with strong commitment in mitigation and adaptation. So we are really proud to work together. So thank you for the presentation. I think now we may move to the ceremony of signature. We have the Minister of Costa Rica, Andrea Meza Murillo, that is here. We have Amy Holm, that is the Executive Director, of the Carbon Registry. And we have Becky, is in connection, so she will sign from New Zealand her copy of our Memorandum of Understanding. So thank you. We may move to the celebration.
Pleasure to meet you as well. I know, she's great. What else do you want? Okay. And I have a question. Do we not we need another copy for the New Zealand or?
Yes, we need to sign the full copy for New Zealand. You have that one.
We're going to sign another copy for Becky now, too.
I wish I was there, but you know, just wasn't to be.
Becky, there is a question for you, specifically.
There is a pardon?
There's a question. Hello.
Oh, okay.
Frank Helbig, my name, from My Climate, a Swiss non-profit foundation that is a project developer. And I was wondering, what are the criteria for you to label, or like for the label climate positive?
Climate positive.
Like, does it also mean like people compensate more than 100%
Yes.
the residual emissions? And where did you do the threshold?
Yeah, we did. We went for 200. So
wow.
100,
Okay.
125% of pure carbon, and then an equivalent amount of spend up to 200% on other projects. So we're a bit. They don't have to have a ton of carbon related to it over between the 125 and the 200, but they have to have other significant sustainability co-benefits, either social or environmental or something like that. So we've got a couple of clients, 2 clients so far. So one of them is in the cosmetics industry, for instance, and their over and above investment is in rainforest protection and orangutan protection, because that relates directly to their business around palm oil, you know, eliminating palm oil. And the other one is more of a social contribution. So it's recognizing what climate leadership now looks like, which is going much further. But we expect it to evolve as the definition of climate leadership evolves through all the discussions that are happening right now in Glasgow.
Great. Thank you for that. Excellent initiative. Looking forward to hearing more. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky. We go for a toast, and I hope you do the same in New Zealand.
I'll have some coffee.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Daniele. Shall I log off now? Thank you very much for organising it.
Bye-bye. I don't know which side I have to say bye-bye, but ciao.
Ciao.